Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I am so glad that you're here. I'm going to be sharing all of the books that I read in August. It was a pretty hefty reading month. I read 12 books, or I attempted to read 12 books. There's some DNFs in there. And if you saw my September TBR, I am planning on slowing things down. However, since I made that video, I kind of on a whim started listening to the audiobook for The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis, which is right here. I mean, I'm listening to it and I flew through it, and now I'm reading The Magician's Nephew, and I'm probably going to be done it by the time this video goes up, and look at me go. So maybe y'all have read the whole Chronicles of Narnia in September, so that'll be 6 books right there. So maybe it won't be a small reading month, but anyway, highly recommend these books. They're just so great. Okay, but I'm going to share the books that I read in August. So I'm kind of going to go in random order here. I think I'll start with the books that I have to hold up, and then we'll go from there. So the book club pick for this month was Heart of Red, Blood of Blue by Rebecca Belliston. And this is a reread for me. I read this, I don't know, a couple years ago at this point. I do have a review video for this book, so I'll link it down below. It's kind of old, but it was me hyping this book because I discovered this super randomly and it was so amazing. This is like a medieval Christian fantasy book. And if you like that, any of those words, you really should read this book. It's so well done. And it's kind of fun that it's just a standalone. It's just this kind of like hidden gem epic book. And I just thought it was so well done. So you follow this princess who is hidden away because she's the last heir to the throne. She also has albinism, so she's albino, and in her kingdom that is seen as a bad thing, and so she has to hide herself because her dad is like ashamed of her. So sucks to be her, and she's just such a wonderful character. You follow her throughout the whole book. It's only one perspective, but you just see all of the things that she gets up to. She does end up on the run at some point, and you see the characters that she meets. There's so many twists and turns. Highly recommend. There's romance, of course, and I just can't say enough good things about this book. It's super good, and I know a lot of my friends have read it and loved it as well, so I'm so glad that this won the book club and that we all really enjoyed it. So yeah, highly recommend. Next, another reread, Then There Was You by Kara Isaac. This, I reread it because I recently bought it off Amazon, and it was so good. This is the kind of romance that I like to read. Basically, like, the witty banter was so good. The awkward, funny situations that the characters got into, so good, but super deep. Like, both of them had depth to their characters. I love it. Super good romance. This is set in Australia, and you follow a girl who's working at a mega church, and there's things around that, the fact that it's a mega church and like if she likes that or not. And then it is a romance with the son of the pastors of that mega church, and it is so good. Okay, really funny. It feels similar caliber to Tamiel Gray, in my opinion. Like, if you like Tamiel Gray, My Hope Next Door, I would assume that you would love this book as well because it has the same vibes. Super good writing. Highly recommend. Okay, on to books that I haven't read before. So I did also read The Promise of Rayne by Nicole Deese, and I was pleasantly surprised by this book. I think, what did I give it? 5 stars? I think I gave it 5 stars. It's like between a 4 and a 5, like 4.5 if we did that. Super enjoyed it. This is like a Romeo and Juliet retelling, but set in modern times. And so basically you follow this girl. She is the daughter of like a dynasty that her family owns, like this super fancy resort. There is another like business that is neighbors to the land that the resort is on. But this business sells like products more so. And there's like some history that there's just bad blood between the two of them. She thinks she knows why, but like it's actually not what you think it is, which it was really fun. And she ends up being desperate one day and has to order products from this company that she's not supposed to even interact with. And the guy working there is her love interest, and they actually knew each other as kids, so it's a little bit of a childhood friends to lovers too. And then the setting is that it's set in the summertime, and there are wildfires happening, and everyone's kind of on alert for that. So there's like kind of this lingering, like they could evacuate at any moment as well, which is kind of like where we're at right now in BC. And I know across North America, there's forest fires, and it's like so devastating what fire can do. And this book does showcase that. So if that's a trigger for you, I would actually beware, because some of it is described of just kind of like the devastation and how people are like losing their homes and stuff. So, but I just thought it was told really well. It felt real. I really liked the romance and the development of that. And I thought kind of, I guess, the twist, I didn't fully guess it. Like, I guessed it a little bit, but I wasn't exactly right. So that was fun. I will say there's also a lot of great faith in this book. It's totally clean, and I really loved the faith message in it. So definitely recommend. Okay, next, I read An Uncommon Courtship by Kristi Ann Hunter. And this is book 3 in the Hawthorne House series. And I really enjoyed this one. I give it 4 stars. I would say that it wasn't as funny or engaging as the first 2 books, but I still really enjoyed following the brothers. So the first 2 books follow the 2 sisters, and the last 2 are going to follow the 2 brothers. And so this one was following one of the brothers, and I really enjoyed seeing his character more. He was always kind of like a funny, kind of clownish, maybe comic relief character in the first 2 books. And in this one, you got to really see more behind his heart and who he is as a person. So that was really nice. And this is a marriage of convenience story. And that isn't my favorite trope. I don't well, it has to be done well for me to like it. And I mean, this was done fine, I guess, but it was kind of like, I just didn't connect with it as much, I guess. So totally okay though, like still great writing, great story, good romance, but just, I guess the situation wasn't as like great for me. You know what I mean? We all have our different tastes. Wasn't my taste. There you go. Still highly recommend this series. I'm definitely going to be reading the last book, and I would recommend it for sure. Okay, then I read Bois. And then if you saw my video, I did read Wishtress by Nadine Brandes. Very proud of myself. I'll link the video down below. Gave it 3 stars. Not my thing. I don't plan to read any more Nadine Brandes, but all the love to those of you who love her books, and Wishtress in particular. I know this is one of her most popular, so take my review with a grain of salt, but just the whole fantasy aspect of it, there's just something about when I'm in a fantasy world, something doesn't click automatically, and so it takes me like a long time to be like, what am I reading? And I don't really like to try to understand what I'm reading. I just want to know, you know? So yeah, but I did think that like the last half was definitely way better. The first half was slow and boring to me, but pushed through to the last half and the plot picks up. I did come to like the characters more. So this book alternates perspectives between Mirth, who is the Wishtress, and Bastian, who is like some guy. And you learn about what he is or who he is. But I was also like his opening chapter, I think it was chapter 2 or 3. I was like, what? What did I just read? I have no idea. And you see how their paths cross and stuff goes down. It's pretty intense. It's a little sad. If you have triggers with like losing a parent, no more spoilers on that, but there is a loss of parent in this book and it was devastating. Okay, moving on. Then I read Break of Day by Colleen Coble. This is the final book in the Annie Peterson trilogy. This is a romantic suspense trilogy by Colleen Coble, and it's my first full trilogy by her. I've only attempted a couple other books by her in the past. This is by far my favorite from her. And this book I gave 4 stars. I thought it was pretty like an epic finale. It took me a while to get into it though. So I don't know why. I think possibly like the second book ended in a way where I was like, I wish I had the third book. And then it kind of fades away. And if I had like read them back to back, I think I would have enjoyed them even better. Overall, like a solid trilogy. And I would recommend it, but it definitely has a lot of drama and a lot of like triggering content to do with like abductions and abuse. So if that is anything to be aware of, but they are obviously all clean. There is pretty decent faith in these books, not as much as I would expect in a romantic suspense, but when it's there, it's good. Highly recommend the audiobook for these 3 books. The narrator is super good. She's like just, yeah, really good at telling stories. So highly recommend it. It was good. All right, then I read If for Any Reason by Courtney Walsh, and I gave this 4 stars. This was a recommendation from a subscriber, and I finally read it. So yay. Yeah, and it's a solid like Christian romance story. I wouldn't say anything super stood out about it that would make it a 5-star, but still good. So it is set in the summertime, set like on the coast of New York. And you follow this girl who her grandpa passes away and wills to her his cabin. So she goes there to fix it up and sell it. That's her plan. But her childhood friend is actually her neighbor. And the friend has his daughter staying with him because he is divorced. And the daughter and the girl become friends and like each other because the girl is into like theater and the daughter wants to get into theater. So that was cool. Little theater aspect. And you kind of see them like rekindle their relationship. And also a little bit of drama to do with this girl's family. And overall, it was like a pretty straightforward story. Again, nothing super stood out, but I also would recommend it if you want a good Christian romance. The faith, I don't remember it standing out, but I do think there was faith in it. And it was clean, obviously. So yeah. Okay, then I did read The Younger Wife by Sally Hepworth. I think in my TBR, I said I'd only read 2 books by her, but I've read 3 because this is the 3rd one. And this is my least favorite from the 3 that I've read so far. I gave this 3 stars. I still loved her writing, but what the story was about just like isn't like something that I would enjoy reading. But like props to her, I guess. Like I read the whole book and I was still like engaged enough that I didn't want to DNF it. But I also was like, okay, that was like a fine story, but like a 3-star story, you know? So basically this family has a mom and a dad. The mom has dementia and is in a home permanently, and the dad is doing his thing. They have 2 daughters. Opens with the dad and the 2 daughters going for lunch, and the dad is bringing his new girlfriend, who happens to be younger than his 2 daughters. And they surprise everyone with saying, "We're getting engaged." And they're like, the daughters are like, "Say what? She's younger than us." What? Because they're all in their like mid-30s and the dad is in his 60s. So weird. But you get perspectives from the 2 daughters and from the wife. And seeing those perspectives, it was still very interesting, but I still like didn't care that this guy was marrying a younger woman. I did like the ending. I was very satisfied. I was like, you know, that's fine with me. Do what you gotta do. And that's about it. Totally clean. Like they barely even mention anything to do with that. Whereas the other 2 books do mention it and have it in it a little bit. This one didn't have it at all. And as for language, I honestly don't remember. I think that there probably was some swear words, but of all 3 books, this one actually had the least, I guess, offensive content in it. But still my least favorite because like the story itself, I was like, okay, that's nice, but no thank you. But fully excited to keep reading her books. Her writing is just so good to me. I really like her storytelling and I think she's really good at what she does. Okay, we're actually on to all of the kind of the not as great books, okay? Piece of Cake. Gave this 2 stars and really it should be a DNF. And this one I read at the very beginning of the month, so it's pretty fuzzy because I was listening to it on audio. And so I was like definitely checked out for some of it. So it's a little vague, but what I will say is there's no Christian aspect to it, but I think that it's clean. And the worst language in it was the ASS word. Other than that, there was no language. And then, so you follow this girl who works for a magazine and the magazine is doing this new campaign show thing. So they partner with this guy and she has to work together with this guy and she feels threatened by him. Like he's gonna kind of stand her up, or not stand her up, upstand her, make her look bad. He's gonna like do the job better than her. So she's like insecure about that. And I'm just not a fan of one of the characters being just like straight up rude to someone and that turning into a romance. It just doesn't work for me. I'm not an enemies to lovers kind of person, especially in like contemporary romance where it's like, can you show some common decency, please? Like, would you actually treat people like this in real life? Like, and if you would, you're a terrible character and I don't want to read about you. That's how it felt. She was just like rude to him, and he was so gracious about it. Like, he just took it and he liked her anyways, and I just don't get that. It doesn't work for me, so not my kind of story. Wouldn't recommend it for that reason, but if you don't mind enemies to lovers, maybe you would like it, but I just couldn't get past that, so 2 stars. And then I've got 2 DNFs. So the first one is Peculiar Treasures by Robin Jones Gunn. I really liked what it was about, but to be honest, the writing just didn't connect with me, and I just like didn't care. Like, the way that it was written, I was just like, okay, what? Like, I just wasn't very engaged, and I can't explain it past that. Like, that's the only reason. Because I did, well, it was the characters too. I like didn't really care about the characters. I didn't like feel them as real people, I guess. I don't know. What it was about, I did like. So you follow this girl. It opens with she's at this wedding and she catches the bouquet and she's so excited. And then just random stuff kind of happens from there. And she's not sure where to go in her life. She's dating this guy and she wants him to propose, but he's not. He doesn't feel ready. And so she's like, do I keep waiting? And then she gets a job at a college or a university to like work in the dorms. So that's cool. But just all of it, I guess just the progression of the storytelling, like just, I was like, I just don't care. I don't want to read this. So I DNF'd it. And it was too bad. So there you go. And then I also DNF'd Same Time Next Summer. And basically this is a second chance romance, but she's engaged. And then I don't know how she breaks the engagement because I didn't read that far, but like she's engaged and then, but she's going to end up with this other guy. And I just struggle with that as well. I'm not like super on board with that, but yeah, you follow these 2 characters that are engaged. They're going to look at a venue, and the place they go to is where her old flame lives. And so you get flashbacks to her meeting this old flame and like their whole story basically. And then you see present day with her fiance, and didn't work for me. Didn't like it. DNF'd it. I don't know how it ended, but yeah. There was no language that I remember, and it was clean up to the point that I read, so that was nice. And I still will look for this author because I did really enjoy Nora Goes Off Script. So I haven't written off this author, but this book didn't work for me. I'll quickly share, I did read, or I actually listened to a nonfiction book called Journey Towards Wholeness by Suzanne Stabile, I think. This is an enneagram book, and we don't need to get into it, but I did read it and I did enjoy it. I thought it was well done, super informative, and she brought faith into it. This is not like, you know, all the things that you can say about the enneagram. She made it all about Jesus. I will just say that, okay? So I liked it, and I would recommend it if you like the enneagram. I thought it was just another good resource to learn more. And there are all of the books that I read in August. So yeah, quite the month. And I'm losing my voice now because I've been talking so much. So hopefully you got some recommendations from this. Only a couple of 5 stars in there, but a lot of solid 4 stars. I'll write them all down below with their authors, and I'll link any videos down below that I mentioned. And that is everything. I really thank you for watching, you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Do I look younger than 29? Do I look younger than 30? Ha! Good.